But the last Pac-12 game that we're talking about in this one is number 14 Oregon State at number 21 Washington State. And I misspoke there, Dalton, because I said the last Pac-12 game. This is the last Pac-2 game that we're going to be talking about, because right now, 10 of the 12 Pac-12 members are leaving after this season. The only two who don't have a home in another Power 5 conference are Oregon State and Washington State, who are meeting in this game. And also, another stat that I found that I thought was pretty crazy was this is the 109th time that both teams are playing each other. This is the first time ever that both teams are in the top 25 when they play each other as well. So I am really, really excited for this game. The last two standing in the Pac-12 conference right now. And it's ironic that they couldn't find a home when both schools are ranked right now. So quality programs that just don't have a home for next year. But Dalton, ultimately, what are you looking forward to most in this game?
This is a weird game. This is a weird game. Oregon State runs kind of a very old school offense. They brought in Uiagalelei, who looked great in week one, but has kind of gone back to struggling the last 2 weeks. And Oregon State, they're weird. They get under center. They get under center at the fourth highest rate in the country. They play a ton of two tight ends. And it's very, very basic. They want to run off tackle, and they want to run off tackle, and they want to run you over. And occasionally they take a play action shot with Uiagalelei, a deep crosser, a deep ball. He's still got a cannon, but the accuracy is just so spotty that they can't rely on him to just drop back. So Oregon State is one of those schools. If they could run the ball every single play, they would. They just, it's inconsistent offensively. The things they do right, they're in the top 25 in both run and run defense grades. The things they do right, they do really right. They are massive up front. I think you mentioned they're in your top 5 or 10 offensive lines. They're just massive up front. They got tight ends that can block. They have a formula. They want to run it down your throat. They want to stop the run. They want to play, they don't want to give up big plays. They haven't played a wicked opponent yet. They've played 3 opponents that they've physically dominated. They don't want to get in a game where Uiagalelei has to carry them, because I think they're still even afraid to allow him to do that. I would like to see him more involved in the run game, actually, but they just don't get in the shotgun. It's really just not their game. But I'm looking at Washington State's defense against that. Right now they have, Jaden Hicks' safety is fun to watch, man. He's great. He's the third highest graded defensive player in the country. He comes up, he flies to the ball, he plays some linebacker, he plays strong safety, free safety, a little bit in the slot. He's all over the place. He's got that Jamal Adams, Kyle Hamilton versatility to him. He's all over the place. Washington State, a 91.4 run defense grade right now. They held Wisconsin, who is running a new offense. It's not the same old Wisconsin offense. They held Wisconsin to 91 yards rushing.
Wow.
91 yards rushing. And any other in Wisconsin, you would think any other year, Washington State's going into Wisconsin. They're going to give up 91 yards on the ground to Wisconsin. So their defense is a real thing. It's not the same old soft air raiding three-man front team in Washington State. This is going to be another one, much like UCLA and Utah. This is going to be a fist fight, man. And I think, they hold the big thing to me. Oregon State right now is the highest graded team as overall running outside zone, right? They want to get off tackle. They want to get out to the edges. But, Ron Stone Jr. and Brennan Jackson are really, really good on the edges for Washington State. That's going to be a fun matchup to see if they allow Oregon State to get off tackle, because that's the goal. Run off tackle. Just run off tackle till we can't anymore. And if they can't do that, I'm not sure where Oregon State's offense goes from there.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, entering the season, I had Oregon State as the number 3 offensive line in the country, only behind Michigan and Georgia. And that looks pretty good so far, man. Oregon State's offensive line, right now they have a 78.3 run blocking grade, 4th among Power 5 teams. Not only that, not only is the offensive line creating holes, Damian Martinez is taking advantage of them, man. He right now, the true sophomore, has an 85.9 rushing grade this season, 4th among Power 5 backs, also 3rd among Power 5 running backs with 8.6 yards per carry so far this season. But like you mentioned, Washington State's run defense has been really good. 91 yards to Wisconsin. Yes, they have a new air raid-ish offense. They still have Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi, which are one of the best running back duos in the country. They only had 91 yards in that game. only allowed right now, the Cougars only allowing 2.6 yards per carry. And like you mentioned, that run defense grade is tied for 4th in the Power 5. This is going to be, like I said, a fist fight. It's going to be a battle won in the phone booth, I think. Ultimately, Dalton, who wins this massive Pac-2 showdown?
This is a tight one. This took a long time to think about because you got two very similar teams. One of them in Oregon State want to run it down your throat. They're kind of like Iowa West right now, if that's the best way I can put it. They want to just put 2 tight ends on the field and run down your throat and play good defense, complementary football. Washington State goes about it a little differently. They still run a spread offense. I really like Ben Arbuckle, their new offensive coordinator. He's the youngest offensive coordinator in the Power 5. And his play calling right now is elevating Washington State's offense. Cam Ward last year had 21 turnover-worthy plays. And he only had, he had multiple turnover-worthy plays in 8 of his 13 games last year. And what he's doing is getting to play safer football. Now, he's still got 4 through the first 3 games, but he's not giving games away. I think that was the first lesson for Washington State was we need to put easier throws in this offense. And he's doing that right now. Lincoln Victor with 24 catches in the first 3 games. He has the most yards in the nation right now on short passes. They are getting the ball out quickly. And Cam Ward has clearly been told, look, either get rid of the football on your first read or take off running. Last year, there were too many plays where late in a play, throwing the ball back across the field, throwing it into tight windows. If he plays, they remind me a lot of what we saw from Missouri last week. Yeah. Look, Brady Cook, man, be safe with the football. We can win big games. I think Cam Ward's a lot the same. I think Oregon State, they're going to have issues in the slot defending Lincoln Victor. He's really good. He's as good a route runner. He's not like the most explosive guy, but he's as good a route runner as there is in the country right now. He can really, his breaks at the top of all these 6-yard routes he's running. It reminds me a little bit actually of Sky Moore coming out. Wow. Kind of a similar skill set in the slot, and he's really hard to defend. Washington State, they just want to make positive plays on offense and rely on their defense. I think they'll be able to do that. I'm going to take, this was a hard one. This was probably the next hardest game to pick. I'm going to take Washington State at home 24-20.
Wow, I think this is the first time. We're disagreeing on this. I have Oregon State in this one. I got Oregon State winning 31-24. I think the physicality on offense is going to be too much for Washington State to handle, even though Washington State's done a good job this year. And I think DJ Uiagalelei makes enough big-time throws to lead Oregon State to a victory. And this would be, if Oregon State wins, this would be their first road win over a top 25 team since 2012. So I think Oregon State's going to show up in this one, and I think it'll be a close game, but I do think Oregon State's going to come out on top. So the first time we're disagreeing.